Hey guys, welcome back to another lab. In this lab, we're going to be talking about the Digital Exchange, otherwise known as the DX for short, and the Credential Manager. Now the DX is basically Blue Prism's third-party app store. There's a lot of great stuff on there, so I encourage you to go around and search for a couple different items and explore. We'll be using one in our lab called Twilio, so we'll be downloading that. The other thing we're going to talk about is the Credential Manager. Now, if you hired me at your company, right, you would give me my own username and password for any applications I would need to do my job. It's the same thing for a digital worker. We're going to have credentials for these digital workers. This will help things along the lines of auditing and security. Now, when you have a username and password for these digital workers, we want them secured safely. So we're going to put those in our Credential Manager, which comes out of the box with Blue Prism. With that, let's get into the labs. And welcome back. We are on lab 6 today, folks. And you know what that means. It's time to get into the Digital Exchange and Credential Manager. That is what this lab is all about. So, if you see on my screen here, I am on the Digital Exchange. For the folks that don't know, this, again, friendly reminder to read the lab instructions before. This is going to be another long-ish lab, the one after this. Not as quite as long as the one we did on lab 5. A lot of great stuff there. But just to give you a little more overview of the Digital Exchange. So the Digital Exchange, .blueprism.com, you do have a login. It's the same as your portal. I believe if for some reason you don't, you can quickly just register, but you guys should have one set up. It is free to register. So this is basically Blue Prism's version of a third-party app store. Now what's great about this is your company may already have some of these assets in use, which is great because then you don't have to purchase them. If you want to purchase a one-off license for an asset, you can certainly do that. There's some free stuff here on as well. So I encourage you to go around and scope this out. Now today we're going to be using a text message service called Twilio. So let's go ahead and type in SMS text message. And as you type, of course, these will be filtered out. And we'll go ahead and click that. So we'll give it a second to load. All right, and we can see we've got our SMS integration with Twilio. Now again, this isn't going to be like we have to go do some back-end integrations and all this. This is going to be drag and drop into Blue Prism with some settings up on the Credential Manager and Settings tab that I will show you. So if you want more information, what you're going to do is you're going to go into click this with your left mouse. See all the good stuff about this, reviews, documentation, what versions, blah, blah, blah. There also may be some videos depending on the assets or demo videos, things like that. So once you have gotten right here, just hope you guys are following along. So we've clicked in this and now we are going to download this asset. So simply click this download asset button and you should see it on your browser downloading. So give everyone just a second to make sure they've downloaded that asset. And then we'll get into the importing part of it. So we'll see you on the Blue Prism side here in a minute. Now, once you get your asset, I wanted to point out two things. You can either double click it right here, and it should open up in Blue Prism. But if it can't, or for some reason it doesn't, maybe it's having a bad day, I don't know. We're going to do an import, so I thought I would show that to you guys right here. Now, by the way, you can import just one object or process, or a release is basically like a package, a bundle, if you will. So go in and go ahead and go to your file path. And once you get that, you'll see your release right here. Just go ahead and hit next. It should say next, next, and finish. And that's as easy as it is to import a release. By the way, if for some reason, say your coworker builds an automation, they can, share a process or an object, if you will, and just email it to you or put it on Teams or Skype, and you could import it like that. Now we do have something else called multi-team environment. That's for another day, but just again, that's how easy it is to really share these back and forth between your COE members. Okay, so now that we've imported, we are all finished with that. Now, before we can use this skill, we're going to need an API key, aka a password for this. Now, for the folks that don't have one, Twilio allows you to set up a free one, and we can you can quickly set up one on there and follow along with that. Okay, so you won't see this API code with the bundle or anything. This is just mine that I've set up. So again, you can quickly do that. Okay, so before we can use this API key, we never really want in Blue Prism to hard code the credentials, right? You could have a data item and have the password, but that's not very secure. So we're going to use the credential manager. So we're going to be working in the systems tab over here. Okay. Now by the way, I should make one note here. So in systems underneath security is the credential manager. This is the credentials. You can see I've got a couple here that I use, as well as my Twilio one as well. Now, if this is the first time you've been in the Systems tab, your first time should have been putting in the license key for Blue Prism itself, your trial license or your company's license. But if for some reason you haven't, this is the first time over here, you may need to configure an encryption scheme. So you can see an encryption scheme. There's a default one that you can set up over here. And I'll just show you real fast. And you can just do a database and generate a key for yourself, okay? So that way you can, your credentials will have basically, if you look at this, you'll basically want to have it an encryption scheme for this. So with that being said, you're going to have a Twilio one down here. So what you would do first is click New. So I already have one in here, but I'm just going to walk you through this a little bit. So we'll call this Twilio sorry about that, folks. I actually have my Shift M key is how I paused my recording. So if the audio sounded weird, that's why. So I'm going to do lowercase on this, but make sure it's uppercase in yours. And there's a reason that it is case sensitive. When you reference your credentials in your automations, you want it to be absolutely correct. So make sure you have capital M over here and capital M over there on there. Okay. So I'll just call this one for myself Twilio test since I already have that. Okay. We're going to leave our type as general. There are a few other types you could do down here, authentication, bearer tokens, etc. Okay. And now we're going to come down to add our username. Now this will be your account SID you get from Twilio. Okay, it should start with the letters AC, I believe. So I'm not going to put mine in here because then I would have all you guys seeing my Twilio account. And then you should also get an authentication token, which will be your password. So you can go ahead and put those down there. Again, you get these two from Twilio. Now you need to enter your phone number. So down here in additional properties, you would put in your number, okay, something like this. And then type in your cell phone or WhatsApp number or anything like that that you would use to get your text messaging. Actually, not WhatsApp, excuse me, your text messaging SMS service. So you could use 89, whatever your number is, right? So go ahead and type that in, and then I'll give you guys just a second to put in that information. And we will have, by the way, I think I put a little word verbiage on there. We will have a short little video clip and a separate one to show you how to get the Twilio phone number, or not Twilio phone number, good Lord, Corey, your Twilio account and password and everything set up, okay? So it's easy as that to set up the credentials, but we don't just want anyone to be having access to these credentials, including digital workers themselves. So maybe you have an entire army of digital workers, but you only want a couple of them to have access to, say, SAP or Oracle or Salesforce or a website, or in this case, Twilio. What you want to do is restrict access rights. Now, if you're wondering, like, well, Corey, how do I know about setting up these different roles and things? Don't worry. Blue Prism has basically a guidebook called the Robotic Operating Model, otherwise known as the ROM, that comes with Blue Prism for free. We're not going over that in these videos, but it shows you really how you can set up these organization and deployment models. So if you want to know more about that, go to our website. There's a whole section on there. It's really, really good and very, very critical if you intend to scale out your RPA, which I hope all of you do. In fact, I know all of you want to do that. Alrighty then. Enough chatting. Okay, so we've got security roles down here, your processes and resources, basically your access, right? You can see all of the different Blue Prism roles. You've got all of your different automation processes. And resources, these are basically your digital workers, right? So you can come in here, if you're unsure, of course, and you just for training, you can always just select all, like so, and do all your processes if you're not sure which one, and digital workers, okay? So just go ahead and click OK, make sure they have the availability now, and then make sure you hit OK. So again, do all resources, all processes, and all security roles, and hit OK. Boom. And that, folks, is how you use your Credential Manager in our Systems tab. So, not too complicated. All right, let's get back into the Process Studio. See you guys in a second. And we're back in our favorite place, the studio. This one specifically, the Process Studio. And you've opened Lab 6. Make sure you got the Lab 6 process. And on our main page, we're going to right click and we're going to create a new one. So this is for Twilio. Bam. All right. On our canvas, what we're going to do is drag and drop 2 action stages like so and link them together. And now we're going to drag and drop 7 data items. Yes, I did say that correctly, 7. Or if any native German speakers out there, 7. Or maybe I'm not native, I'm learning. Well, you have to when you move to Berlin. But anyways, I digress. We've got all of our 7 data types over here, okay? Now, let's go ahead and name these. Now, most of these will be text, and I'll show you which ones here. So we've got my phone. This will be text, okay? We've got, come on, Corey, what are we doing here? And this one will be, time it opened up. Let's see, search for, there it is, excellent. And make sure you make this as text. Let me just double check that I did this on this one as well. Okay, perfect. Okay, double check, text done, beautiful. And now we need price, so go ahead and do that. Make this text. And now we're going to have, let's see, SID. This will also be text. And token, this will not be text. So if you were drowned out by my voice, just remember this one is password here, not text. Data type is password for token because it's a password, right? And then we've got our number and then credential name. Number, there it is. Text message. That's not a text message. Credential name. There it is. Okay, we've got your 7. And as always, best practices in Blue Prism. What are we going to do? The block. You guessed it. I'm sure you guys are way ahead of me on that. You're like, come on, Corey, we know this. We've completed 5 labs. Okay. All right, so now let's go back to this first action stage here. And what we're going to do is call this one Get Credentials. And business object. Now this one should be located at the very bottom if you want to speed scroll down there in case it's not. But these are the some of the out of the box ones that come set up. We have a lot of out of the box ones, but these are just your basic package. There's a lot of other really good stuff like Word, Excel, Outlook that all come for free. Anyways, we're going to get this action get, good Lord, get right here, and you've got your credentials name, and we're going to go ahead and put in our credentials name in the value like so. So for your inputs, excellent. And now we're going to go to our outputs. Okay, so I'll give you guys just a quick second to get there. Now our password in this is going to be under passwords, not text. So this is token. So go ahead and grab that there. And username will be this lovely SID, again from Twilio. Remember, if you were stuck on there, there is a appendix B at the very bottom, how to register for all that. So we have not provided these Blue Prism, but it is free to register on Twilio. And there are instructions in Lab 6 at the very bottom. There you go. All right. Action stage 1, get credentials, get in, it's done. All right, let's click on this second one over here, and we're going to change the name to get number. And we're also going to go to credentials down here as well. So same one, get credentials, but this time instead of doing get, we're going to do get property. By the way, if you notice these little eyes everywhere around Blue Prism, this is where you can view more documentation. It'll take you right to it, and the help has the entire index. Something is when I was learning years ago, when I was learning Blue Prism, there's actually some really, really good stuff in there. So just fun little pointer to the side of it. And I just realized it's not get number. Come on, Corey, it's get property. Someone needs a coffee. Clearly me. So get property is the name, credentials, get property down here. Now, where it says value, so we've got our two inputs here. You guessed it, we're going to drag and drop in credential name there. Okay, so far so good. And under property, what we're going to do is enter number. Now you're going to want to put some quotes around this. So capital N-U-M-B-E-R, and there you go. Make sure your N is capitalized and you've got your quotations looking lovely jubbly. All right, let's finally click outputs over here, and we want to store this in number as well. Now you may have just seen that pop up there that it was an error, right? So when I went to get the number again, in case those that missed it, drag and dropped it, it said number is text. Now, while this is going to be a text coming in, it's being a little wonky. So what you can do down here is come into number. You can change this to password and then come back in here, drag and drop underneath password numbers in there here, okay? And then once that's in there, what you can do then is you can change this back to text. Yep. Just a little workaround, but yeah, that will do the trick. So yeah, if you come into here, now it's there underneath even though it's technically a text. So little hack if that doesn't work, okay? Coming back into Credential Manager, you will need to put in your initial value right here. If it's not appearing, put it as your current value. You can see here, this is how you reset, so leave this blank. But yes, make sure that this does match word letter for letter, and if it's capitalized or lowercase, make sure. I just copied and pasted it to make sure, and then you officially have your information there. Okay. So what we can do now too is go back into credentials. We're just going to double check token. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to set next stage right here. You could just play this through if you wanted. I'm going to use our step actions. Don't worry, this isn't in the lab or anything like that. But I'm going to just go over and step and check this first one. Boom, I can see our SID and token came in. Perfect. And then I'm going to come over and get our end, and we can see our phone number, which this is just a generic one that we put in here, and from our property value. If you remember, that was in the Credential Manager going back to, let me pull this up, there we go. That was coming down here into this property value. That was what we put as number. So that should be your Twilio as of right now. Should be on this end stage. Make sure you've got all your stuff in here. The other thing that you may want to go in and set up in, and I'm not going to do this in front of you guys just because I'm not going to put in my phone number, but go ahead and put in your actual phone number in here, you know, like we had joked about earlier, and maybe put that as a current value as well, and then now we can start to see if this will actually go and double check it. That's going to text your phone. But actually, I take that back. It's not going to text your phone because we don't have the Twilio stage in yet. So I got excited. Sorry. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get our first DX asset onto the canvas. So now you may have been wondering, I kind of refer to these as the hieroglyphics a little bit. They look like the Egyptian style. But what we can do now is we're going to get this. You're going to go over to the collaboration one and your Twilio SMS, and you're going to drag and drop it onto the canvas like so. We're going to want to move this between our get property and end stage. So let me delete this and go ahead and relink these together, guys. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and open up your skill set right here. So let's go ahead and just call this one Twilio. And we've got our web API, perfect. And now we want to send a message. So you can see how when these assets on the skill set from our DX already have a lot of different things right here. So we're going to do send message, okay? And now we just need to plug in our SID number in my phone. So we're going to go into text, get our SID right there. You're going to have number, which is here. And then you want to do 2, which is going to be your phone, right? We're going to text that to your phone. And one other thing I'll just hit OK. Don't worry, I'm not done yet. If for some reason you had put this as password, you can always go back in later and change it text. For someone had mentioned that on a previous testing run of these labs. So if for some reason it's set to password, just go ahead and change that right there. And then what we're going to do for the value, we want to define what this text message will save. So we're going to go ahead and do search for and price. Okay. Now I'm just going to copy this from the instructions, of course, but you could type this out if you wanted to, or if you want to do it in the actual little calculator, this will open up the expression builder for you. So a couple different shortcuts there. I'm just copying and pasting from the instructions like so, but yeah, like I said, you could definitely go in, and always good to validate and check, make sure, okay, everything's looking good there. All right, yeah, so there's our inputs now for the Twilio. But finally, so we'll go ahead and click OK. We're going to go ahead and go into the start page because we want to pass these values of price and search for. So go ahead and hit add 2 of these. And first one should be search for, and we'll just leave this as text, and then leave this second one as text 2. Call this price. I think let's get these down here. Yep, and search for. Boom, there you go. So go ahead and hit OK. And now you're going to go back to the main page actually. By the way, there is an auto-save feature on this if you're ever wondering, well, where's my work? And you can actually change the settings in the Systems tab. You can save it every 1 minute, 30 seconds, or 5 minutes. There's a couple different options, I forget. But now we'll want to add in a page between get price and close, essentially.